Hello, this is Joe of Schmelson Illustration. I love the color purple and enjoy creating art. Today I am doing a Draw This in Your Style challenge hosted by Vasira96. And she created a little tiefling wizard, as she mentions it or calls it. And this prompted me to figure out what the heck a tiefling is. I had no idea. Was just very inspired by the creativity of this character design. I thought it was very cool, interesting, very much so out of my comfort zone. I like doing humans, and this is definitely a humanoid, but there's different characteristics to it that aren't quite human, and I think that helped me push past the insecurities of making it look like a human or like a specific reference or anything like that. I could be a little bit more lax on some of the features because it is a mythical creature, which was a lot of fun. And so researching, figuring out what a tiefling is, hopefully I'm pronouncing that right, I discovered a tiefling, or tieflings are a race in the game D&D, Dungeons and Dragons, which is pretty cool. Their biggest characteristic is that they have horns and they have a tail, or at least that's what I gathered when I looked up images of these creatures. And they usually don't have a normal skin, they have a fun, colorful skin tone, which I think makes it way more exciting to draw. But yeah, so it's a race from D&D. I have no idea what the history is behind it. Anybody want to educate us in the comments below, feel free to. Be great to know if you have a tiefling character that you play, if you play Dungeons and Dragons with any friends. But the other knowledge I have on D&D is watching the Adventure Zone. I definitely got into that probably a year and a half ago. I haven't finished it, and I haven't been watching it since it began, or listening to it since it began. Oh, and for people who don't know, the Adventure Zone is a podcast of this family who play, these brothers and I believe their dad, who play Dungeons and Dragons, and they have a whole character base, and they've been playing so many campaigns. I don't even know how far they've gone into it. I think I only watched the first 3 campaigns, but so entertaining, super interesting. They're ridiculous. If you need something to listen to, or if you like podcasts and are looking for something new to listen to, I definitely suggest The Adventure Zone. It's a good time. But yeah, that's kind of my whole background on Dungeons and Dragons. And this was just a really cool character to redesign or redraw. The image that Vasira gave has the whole body in it, or for the most part it's 3/4, so you didn't get to experiment with the clothing because it was already just given to you, which was still fun because I probably wouldn't have given a cool corset like this, or would have even thought to draw that. But the color scheme was great. I loved the different skin tone, and yeah, the color scheme was really cool, and it's just a fun kind of edgy character. And I found this pose reference on Pinterest, and I thought it would fit perfectly, so I got really excited to draw it and create it. I kind of made a mistake on this drawing. Digitally, I made way too many layers for the line art, and that may cause a lot of frustration later down the line. This was the first time I'd been drawing digitally for a while. So I kind of forgot what my norm is of how I do layers for creations like this. And I found that drawing multiple layers or using multiple layers for the line art really isn't the best for me and my style, just because I don't have to go back between all the layers to erase the little overlaps that I make as a mistake. And I guess my line art isn't super intricate where you need to have the differentiation. I do really enjoy coloring with the line art with different colors. I think it's really cool, even when it's mostly when people draw characters or just do drawings with line art and it's mostly black or one color, and then for the skin tone they'll change it to something lighter that meshes, or a light brown that fits well with the skin tone instead of just being that harsh black. It looks really cool in comics, and there's definitely a place and a time for it. But when I'm doing an attempt at a bigger, cooler illustration, I really like to go that extra bit and do colored line art. I just really enjoy how soft it can make the image, and I feel like it brings it to life a little bit. But I do also really appreciate black line art, or if you go into like a comic book, like even like the traditional superhero comic books, where it's mostly just black line art and any of the shading is still just straight black. You'll have those thick, what do you call them? Like blotches that they almost look like, that make like the muscle on the abs, or like define the muscle on the leg or whatever, because it's posed. And I think that that's really cool. I think those look great and are really cool for anatomy and everything. And then it's just really kind of a solid base underneath it. There's not even really much of a highlight, and if so, it's just white instead of a complementary color, whereas like what I'm doing is like two versions of the same color. You kind of understand what that means. I've been really enjoying using the gradient tool. I finally figured out how to use it appropriately. So it's fun to apply that to different gradations instead of using the blending tool. And I haven't even used the blending tool really on this software. Right now I'm using Krita. It's a free downloadable software, digital painting and drawing. It's pretty simple, not nearly as cool as Photoshop, but I lost my student discount for Photoshop, or Adobe Photoshop. So I'm going with the cheap route. Feel free to support me on Ko-fi and help me to afford Adobe Photoshop. Greatly appreciated. But no, this works just fine, especially for how basic my digital illustrations are. And I can do a lot of the graphic designs that I like to do through Krita. It supplies me with all the tools that I need. There are a couple things that are a little bit redundant that I don't love, but for being free and for the simplicity that I use in my style, it works great. Another reason why I like to do the colorful line art is that I don't really believe in using straight black. I know right here I'm using straight white for like the eyes and the highlight. And normally, like if I were to be more realistic, I would not give it straight pure white because it doesn't really exist in real life. But of course, this is also a digital cartoon, so it's not real life. But if I can avoid using straight black, I will. Like even right now, this dark purple, it's a dark purple. It's not all the way black, but you can easily be viewed as black in comparison to the rest of the colors. And that's just a little bit of color theory for you. The little bit that I know / remember from school. It was interesting to do the horns because I was trying to figure out how to get the gradation, because from the original drawing Vasira96 did, it is a gradation and there are some textures to it, and I thought that was really cool. So I wanted to be able to capture that, and I didn't want to steal too many of the colors or pick colors from the original drawing. I wanted to try and create some that fit with my piece, and so I like how it turned out. Another thing I liked about this Draw This in Your Style challenge is just the little accessories, the little quirks that really push this character beyond a very basic, like, base character pose or anything. It was really fun to, like, you could see a personality, and you could see a personality in this character and be able to go off of that and grow with it, build off of it. And all of those little quirky things are what makes makes character design exciting and fun. I'm not cool enough with character design to be able to make up a character with all of these little accessories and all of these little intricacies, but I very much so admire it when other people can and do. And I hope to, like, using the Draw This in Your Style as a platform to grow with that and to push me past my comfort zone and give me ideas. So shading, the way I shade is a huge part of my technique. It took me forever to figure out how to do this in digitally. Like, some people use like a whole overlay system, or I don't even know what you would call it. But just drawing in the whole shading on one color and then lowering the opacity so that it blends in with everything else. I love it when either the highlights are like the same tone and they affect all of the colors differently, because like if you had yellow for a highlight, it would affect blue and make it a little bit more green, but still like a highlight. But if it was on top of the red, it still looks a little bit different because red interacts with yellow in a different way. And I think that that's like very true to how the real world works. And so I think that's really fun to be able to do your shading in a solid color and have lower the opacity so it interacts with the rest of the colors uniquely. Instead of just taking, like for the skin tone, I could have just taken a blue, a darker blue and just thrown it in there. And then for the shirt, taken a yellow and darkened it and just throw it on there. But they would look so separate. They would look so choppy. There are several different things with my art style that I really appreciate and that I really enjoy and I'm like really like holding on to. But there's still a lot of techniques that I use that really could grow and become better. And I'm excited to go through that process and everything. Everybody had a place to start. And I know I have a lot of growth to do, but I am still very excited and proud of what I've created. And here is my final piece as we're wrapping up compared to Vasira96 is drawing. And yeah, I like it. There's some things I would change, but I think it represents the character in a cool way, or in a very Joe of Schmelson illustration way. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. You can find us on Instagram, Ko-fi, and now we're on Etsy. I've made an Etsy page. You can find different prints there. Go ahead and support if you'd like. Otherwise, feel free to leave a like or a comment. I appreciate you for watching this video, and I hope to see you in the next one. Thank you.